Would you like to pause from your busy day and listen in to experts and homeschool parents like you about the beautiful world of homeschooling? This podcast is designed just for you. Each episode connects you to the best conversations that will give you courage and fill your cup so you can keep pouring into your family every single day. Introducing the Hey Mama Homeschool Show, brought to you by the Old Schoolhouse, your trusted homeschool partner for over 20 years.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. My name is Christine, and I will be your host for this episode. I am a homeschooling mom of 2 boys, and we are in Ontario, Canada, and I have the privilege of working for SchoolhouseTeachers.com and the Canadian Schoolhouse, which are both divisions of the Old Schoolhouse. For this episode, we're going to be asking the question, what kind of homeschooler am I? This is a good question, and there may be a few of you out there who already know the answer to this. You sort of have a plan in place and you know what you like and what you don't like, and you've already done your research and you know how you're going to homeschool. And then you know what works for your family already, and so you're ready to go. But for many of us, this question is a really hard one sometimes to answer because we just don't know. And I could tell you for myself, this question has maybe taken a few years to kind of figure out. For those of you who have followed me a bit, know that I used to teach in the public school sector for many years. And so I had that sort of mentality in my head of what school was supposed to look like. And so I started to teach as though my kids were in public school. We just happened to be at home. And I quickly realized that this is not working because it's a completely different environment when you keep your kids at home. And second of all, that's the reason why I took them out of public school in the first place, was so that we didn't do things the way they did it. And so I quickly adjusted, and I experimented with a few different styles of homeschooling. The important thing that you can consider when you're trying to figure out what homeschooling style you're going to be using is what works not only for you, but your entire family. So you're going to do some research on the different kinds of ways you can approach homeschooling and kind of see where you fall in the best, and also what will work for your children as well, because they're part of this as well. So there are a few obvious choices that you'll find when you Google homeschooling styles. There is, of course, the classical approach. So this style obviously uses the classics as a main source of learning facts like grammar, logical and critical thinking. Reading is very heavy, especially following a historical timeline. This will include Bible and focusing on a biblical worldview. And then you've got the Charlotte Mason approach. And if you Google at any time homeschooling, you will come across the name Charlotte Mason. And this homeschooling style has short periods of study that are coupled with nature walks and journaling, and really emphasizes focus on observing, memorizing, and narration. So through the Charlotte Mason approach, you'll also discover the term living books. And this is a little bit different between living books and textbooks. And that might be something that you want to look into. It's a unique way of teaching for sure. And I'll share a little bit more about the Charlotte Mason approach as we go. And another one is that's become really popular in recent years is called unschooling. And for this approach, John Holt is the inspiration for this kind of homeschooling approach. And this is where this is student-centered. and it focuses largely on the interest of the student. So you'll still have basic skills like reading, writing, and arithmetic, but the students are not tested in the same way as they would be in the classical approach. So parents are more like facilitators rather than lecturers, like a conventional teacher would be, again, from the classical approach. And then another popular one is the relaxed or eclectic approach. So this one is going to be obviously the most flexible one. So hey, if you like flexibility and you are really good at being flexible, this one is for you. Parents can pick and choose from a variety of sources. So you're not necessarily purchasing one set curriculum and sticking with it through the entire year. This is where you got a variety and you kind of pick and choose what you like and what works for you. And you make your own set of learning materials that is unique to your family. So with this approach, and of course being flexible, you can switch between, all the other different approaches if you like for, depending on what your kids are interested in, or, you've decided, okay, well, this isn't working anymore, we need a change. And, you just do what comes naturally. I've come up with a few points to help you determine what kind of homeschooler you are. And so I've given you some of the popular styles out there, but really and truly, it comes down to thinking about what I'm about to share with you. So number one, think about your goals. So here's where you're going to really sit down and think about what was the reason, first of all, that you kept your kids at home, that you decided to homeschool your kids. And you're going to write these down and think about what you want to happen as a result of your kids learning at home. So, what are your goals for your kids? What do you want them to learn at the end of the day? Or at the end of their homeschooling journey? What are the things that you want to accomplish with them before they go on to, whether it's jobs or university or college or whatever God has for them. You're going to write those things down because that's going to help point you in the right direction of how you need to approach your homeschooling. And number two, you're going to think about your style. So again, go back to the ones that I mentioned. Go back on Google and search up homeschooling styles as well. And maybe you might come across a few other options that you could write down and sort of see where you kind of fall in. And just for fun, we found some homeschooling quizzes that we'll share with you in the show notes. And I had fun taking these two quizzes just to see. I kind of know where I fall, but it was fun to take, and it might be fun for you to take as well. The first one comes from the Smiling Homeschooler. And if you're not following him, I recommend looking him up and finding out more about who he is. His name is Todd Wilson, and you may have seen his name a couple times in our magazine and mentioned a few other places. And he is a great encouragement for homeschoolers all around. So definitely check him out. So I did his homeschooler personality quiz, and my result was that I was an owl, and it gave me a word that best described me was that I was thoughtful. And that is true because I do sit down and I think about my goals, like I mentioned before, all the way through, and often because I want to make sure that I'm staying on track as to, that I'm going to accomplish my goals at the end of the day. And so I carefully think about, okay, usually I have a plan for the whole year and it's laid out, but I'm constantly reevaluating it throughout the year and making sure, maybe I need to change this up a little bit. Maybe we need to do less of this. So it kind of breaks it down in the result information. So it comes with traits that come along with this owl personality and some weaknesses, and then he gives you some tips. So that was fun to read through. So I encourage you to go over there. We'll have the link for the quiz in the show notes. And the other one was a homeschool style quiz from the Homeschool Compass. And this quiz told me that I was most aligned with the Charlotte Mason style of homeschooling. So again, the Charlotte Mason approach focuses on, cultivating a home atmosphere that is conducive to learning through consistent daily rhythms, training in good habits, reading of high quality literature. And so we do short lessons and we're focusing on, just learning the discipline and learning focus and keeping that attention. Because I'll tell you, my guys have really short attention spans. So heavy reading does not work for our family. I love reading. I could read all day long, but my kids do not. I am sad about that, but it is what it is. And so you have to, as homeschooling mom, you have to adjust because you don't want to discourage your kids from learning. So this has been my style that I'm most aligned with, but I have a little bit of relaxed or eclectic homeschooling in me as well, and it changes as they grow. You'll find that you kind of tweak here and there in your homeschooling style, and so eventually you'll find a groove, and you can encompass more than one style for sure. So definitely take note of those. So that was number 2. Number 3, think about your strengths and your weaknesses when you're deciding, who you want to be as a homeschooling parent. You want to really choose a style that you are strong at, and then it's not going to cause you to struggle as, you are leading your family in this way. So definitely make a note of those things because they're important to think about. You don't want to start off, just because everybody else is doing, the Charlotte Mason way, which is great, but the Charlotte Mason style doesn't always work for everybody. So, for me, the classical approach, that is my strength, but it's not a strength for my kids. So you're not only thinking about your strengths and weaknesses, you're also thinking about your kids' strengths and weaknesses. So keep those in mind. Number 4, so numbers 1 to 3 were my do points, and 4 to 6 will be my don't points. So number 4 was don't think about what other homeschoolers do. And again, that kind of comes with what I mentioned earlier. You don't want to end up doing something just because other people are doing it. You have to really focus on what works best for your family. Number 5, don't think about missing out on a particular style. Because again, if you are in a particular style or maybe utilizing more than 1 or 2 styles, you're going to be functioning in your strength and your kids' strengths. So you're going to be avoiding all of the stress that comes with trying to stick with a particular style that doesn't work. So if it's working for you, don't worry about what you may be missing out on, because chances are you're going to be busy enough as it is. And hey, if you wanted to try a particular style, definitely go ahead and do that to see if it was really bothering you that, well, I'm not sure, definitely try it out and see if it actually works. And if you would be missing out, and then, hey, if you figure out it doesn't work, then you can rest assured that you're not going to be missing out. And number 6, and this one comes from my personal story, don't think about what the world wants you to teach your children. And I put in brackets next to world, public school, because sometimes, that's in the back of our mind too. We worry that, oh, well, they're supposed to be learning, this particular topic. They're supposed to be learning this particular subject. And listen, you brought your kids home for a reason. So go back to number 1 and reread your goals for the reasons that you wanted to keep them home and stick with that. What the world has for your children cannot compare to what you have to offer your children at home. So please don't compare with what's out there in the world. Don't compare what's out there in the public school to what you can give your kids at home. You are the best teacher for your children, and you will thrive once you are comfortable knowing what kind of homeschooler you are. So hopefully those points were helpful to you. And I will mention that we have gathered a few articles for you as well in the show notes. So I'll mention them here for you to go in and check them out. One is another quiz. It's called Quiz Time, Find Your Homeschooling Style. The second one is the Distinguished Charlotte Mason Method. So if you wanted to read more about the Charlotte Mason Method, you can check that article out. Then we've got one on relaxed homeschooling. So that was the relaxed slash eclectic approach to homeschooling. There's also the unit study method. So this is a unique way of teaching, and it works well, especially if you are teaching multiple children at home. Having multiple sets of curriculum can become expensive and tedious for you trying to teach multiple children at the same time. Another one is called Delight-Directed Learning, and so that one kind of focuses on the interest-led learning style. And we've got one on the sense of classical education. And we've got online education, a viable alternative. So that's another different way of looking at how you can teach your kids at home. There are more, and we also have one from the Canadian Schoolhouse, which is called Homeschooling Planning, Discover Your Family's Style. So I will make sure that one is also in the show notes for you. And so once you've found your style and which approach you are comfortable in taking, then you can look more deeply into planning. Depending on the style, you could have a 5-day plan, you could have a 4-day plan, you could do one subject a day, you could do loop schooling. We've got information on that too on the Canadian Schoolhouse. You can search up loop schooling. That one's a fun idea. You could do project-based or unit study, like I mentioned before. So many other approaches that you can apply once you know the direction that you want to take with your kids. So hopefully I've given you enough to think about. Again, everything that I've mentioned, you'll find in the show notes. And of course, you'll find so much more information. So don't forget to check back to any episode on homeschoolshow.com for all the links to the articles that are mentioned and more. Schoolhouse teachers resources, courses, and all of those great things. They are there waiting for you when you are ready to do your research. And just for your information, NAC is back. What is NAC, you might ask? NAC stands for the National Academic Homeschool Competition. So if you've got a 12 to 18-year-old at home, you can register for the annual opportunity for homeschool students to put their college knowledge to the test on a national level with the National Academic Homeschool Competition. And this is brought to you by the Old Schoolhouse and College Options Foundation. Just to let you know that if you are a schoolhouseteachers.com member, you do receive a 50% discount. So you can head on over to your member dashboard to check that out. We will have the link for more information about NAC, so don't forget to check that out. Coming up next on the Hey Mama Homeschool Show, we've got some great episodes coming up. We've got generational homeschooling, second generation homeschoolers. Then is internet learning a good thing? What are my options? And after that, we've got reaching your rebel's heart. So these are some great episodes coming up, and I hope that you continue to tune in. A new episode comes out every Monday, and don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to. I pray that you are going to have a blessed week and that God continues to strengthen you as you keep your children home where they belong. God bless.